station is a generator, and you have to manage those. This proposal is for solid waste, construction debris, and for mattresses. It's not. That's
the
just not.
recycling is my question.
We could certainly give you a price for universal waste, but it's going to be managed through a third party. That wouldn't be managed through us.
Okay, so we're really not looking at the recycling part of it.
We take a look at recycling certified.
What's that?
It would be household recycling.
Yes.
So municipal solid waste and demo debris. And so we should really, in this proposal, cross out the recycling.
No, we're managing the recycling, household recycling. Plastic, paper, cardboard. What we call commingled. It would be zero commingled, which is everything's mixed together, and we send it to a processing place that manages it. And
I'm sorry, my hearing is not very good. I've got a little microphone to go to my hearing aids. Can you repeat that again? The last sentence?
well, it's household recycling, right? So it's paper, cardboard, it's all mixed together, and then that material is managed, take it to a MRF, a material resource, and it's separated and then taken to market from there.
Okay, so that excludes tires, electronics, small appliances,
Yeah, that is not recyclable.
refrigerants.
That's white goods with refrigerators. That is not a recycled material. That is handled separately.
And what about things such as furniture? Couches, chairs?
Yeah, that's waste.
That's part of the recycling
Yes, that can go in with the waste. Yes,
in the waste, in the MSW, the municipal solid waste.
that's correct.
And what about carpets?
Construction debris. Yeah, that's part of construction debris.
I had a few questions before to get what's going on here. I wanted to, how long did your service for the town, how long did you serve the town of Dalton prior to?
We look back, you first had a contract with Consummate Senko, which was the previous owner of the landfill back in 1990. So Dalton, for over 30 years, Dalton had been using the facility on Trudeau Road.
Okay. So when was the switch to Calgary made?
May of 2020, I believe.
May of 2020?
2019?
2019, 2020.
2019 or 2020, I don't remember which.
2020. Is the date of 2027 a contract locked, which cannot be broken out of, or do they price only? I can't even read my writing. Is the date of 2027 a contract lock-in which cannot be gotten out of, or is it a price lock only?
No, you could get out of the contract. I believe there's a 30-day notification to get out of the contract if you choose to get out of the contract. But the contract is good through 2027 and can be extended. I think two-year increments thereafter the 27.
So what we have here is a proposal, not, we don't have the contract terms in this document.
That is correct.
I guess two more. I need some clarifying on some things that have been in the paper, the Caledonian Record. It says currently Casella had two different rates, one for trash and one for CD. In the bid you gave us, that is not so. Can you explain that?
What article in the paper were you reading?
Just in Caledonian Record.
No, when?
in there?
So in this bid, it's all inclusive, right? It's C and D and municipal. Municipal
It's the
waste.
same.
It's the same. For this offer, it's the same. But you're right, typically there are two different prices. And the reason for that is obviously construction debris takes up more capacity and more space than MSW. So there's just always been that differential in charge based on airspace consumed. For the purpose of this bid, it's the same.
And my last one, are you banned from trucking to Carberry?
I know.
Okay. That's all. Thank you. You have any questions, Eric, or no? Getting on?
I don't believe so.
It was sweet and simple. I appreciate you coming in. It was straightforward. Unless there's something else you guys want to just elaborate on.
No, I think as questions come up, we're happy to answer it. Or if come up from a hauling standpoint, recycling, if you'd like somebody from our recycling team to shed more light on the single stream process, we're always happy to do that as well.
But this proposal doesn't include transportation, correct?
Correct. His question was regarding Mount Carberry, and that's part of our hauling. It's not the part of NCES. Is my point.
Paul, you had a question?
Thank you. Yeah, the question was, I believe 2027 at the latest is when we're looking to close down the Dubreuil. The Dalton site, if approved, I believe it's on record, would take probably 3 years build out, right? So you've got a minimum, if the Dalton site was approved in January, which probably won't happen, but if, in terms of timing, right?
Sure.
But if it was approved in January, when you do your next permitting, there's a year gap.
Mhm.
Can you talk to us about what that looks like?
So it's a great question. And the reality is if we're moving in that direction and we have the infrastructure to move that waste, that's why the mutual agreement for consecutive years after 2027 is in that agreement as well. So if we're moving forward with that project and we're all in agreement that we want to continue on, so we can do that. Move the waste to
I'm
other
sorry, I'm
locations.
having trouble hearing you. If you could speak a little bit.
Sure. So the question was about whether there's a gap between NCES's
And
closing.
I heard the
GSL's
question, I'm looking
opening.
for the answer.
Right. So if we're moving in that direction and there is a gap, we have the infrastructure in place where we can move that waste, transfer it from here to another facility, move it to another facility. That's why there would be an opportunity for that mutual agreement to extend the contract.
So
And that would be under
basically,
this, I'm sorry,
you would transport it from Bethlehem somewhere else.
Correct.
under the same terms.
Correct.
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 Thank you.
Sure. Good. That's a great question. Anybody else got a question?
When it comes to recycling, is that blended all together, or are we doing it separately then from the, and what is it, I'm sorry? The MSW, sorry.
Right. So we would collect MSW and recycling separate. The recyclables, you get a list of accepted recyclables, non-acceptable recyclables to put in there. It would go into a single stream container. It's called zero sort at Casella. That's a proprietary name, but it's single stream is an industry term that everybody. That's how we do it. And then it would be commingled with others in the area, aggregated, and then transported down to our facility in Rutland, where it would be sorted and then sold back out to market.
So our transfer station is now set up to separate recyclables. So it makes no sense to separate them and combine them and then have to have them separated again.
Correct, this would certainly be more convenient than separating them all yourself and sort of running your own, at each individual household level to separate them. We just bring them, drop them off in a roll-off container and truck them to the facility where it would be separated, by people who work for Casella and the machinery in place.
Would you provide the container?
Yeah, it would be part of the
This is not a transposal, this is just a
This is just
disposal.
accepting them.
Right.
Okay.
But to that point, the recycling still can go up to Trudeau Road. We manage the zero sort through Trudeau Road. We have a bay. A lot of companies use that bay. We put it in a trailer and then ship it off to the MRF. So my point is the recyclables don't get taken all the way to a facility. They get transferred on Trudeau Road. They get transferred into a larger vehicles for efficiency.
Right, at your volume, the volume that a single town would produce would be combined with other towns on that.
My name is Gordon Job. I live on Ridge Road in Dalton. Question about the design of a landfill is really not an issue. You have follow federal guidelines and state guidelines. Permeability is, I'm not sure in New Hampshire, 10 to the minus 5 or 10 to the minus 7, I'm not sure. What is your plan for quality control and quality assurance during construction to ensure that these guidelines are met?
So, I mean, I think we're more than happy to come back and talk about the proposed GSL landfill. I think tonight what we really wanted to discuss was this disposal contract. I think if we were set up to take that, we'd have some engineers in place to talk about the permitting process. So if that's okay.
Yeah, the other questions about the contract on the transfer tonight is not about.
Yeah, and sir, I'd be happy to take down your information and get you an answer by email or phone, or get you in touch with our engineering compliance team.
It's a proposal, not a contract, correct? You just said
It is a
contract.
proposal, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. May I? So we've heard Casella's, are you planning on having Carberry come in and do the same thing for us?
They were supposed to be here tonight.
Okay, just wanted to know.
I can answer that. Carberry said that they're not interested in coming in and talking about the services that they already provide. They're not going to come in and do a comparison with other companies is basically what they said. The services they provide are what they provide for the price that they've provided.
Thank you.
And I think to be fair, we already know what they provide. We've been using it for the last.
And that was kind of her thing, is we have a contract and we already knew, so.
Can you find out what the list is that they provide and what the costs are currently? Can you make that to the public?
What's the cost? The cost is $72 per ton.
That's tipping fee?
That's a tipping fee, yeah.
Do they take mattresses?
Yes, they do.
Do they charge for them?
No, they do not.
They do not.
They do not.
But they have to,
Part of the weight.
Uh-huh.
We include it in our construction debris dumpster and they do not charge extra,
How many do you put in your construction debris dumpster at a time?
maybe 2 or 3. They go on top to keep everything in the dumpster.
Do you think that they would charge you more if you did bulk, like it was mentioned earlier?
They're not
that
equipped to do bulk. So if we needed to do bulk, they would come up with a price for us. But it would have to be a special quote.
I am gonna add the fact that when I talked to Lisa, that 1 or 2, 3 or 4, like putting on top, like Jeanette said, is passable, but where we had 15, 20 there, she said that it's probably gonna get charged. I haven't got that right, and that's what she said over the phone.
And she confirmed that when I spoke to her on the phone, because they don't generally accept that volume of mattresses at one time, but the town of Dalton doesn't usually have 15 or 20 mattresses a month either. So I think this is the first time we've had a higher volume of mattresses at the transfer station. Adam can probably, he's here somewhere, Adam can probably chime into that.
Questions?
Can I just make a statement? Am I allowed? First of all, I want to thank the select board for doing this. I asked this about 6 weeks ago, and you folks have been diligent. I come back and ask, and he says, yep, we're coming, we're having this meeting. How do the people know that this meeting was happening tonight? I just happened to get an email today. But how did we know that this topic was going to be discussed tonight so that people could come if they had questions?
Well, it was just,
At the last meeting, we discussed it.
and it was just, I mean, it was just decided.
On the website too, weren't it?
I don't know if I added Casella to the website, because it was literally just decided, I think, last week, right? I think, Rebecca, that's when you said that you guys could work with doing it today instead of Veterans Day. Because originally they were coming on Veterans Day. So through things that happened in the meeting last week, Tom asked if we could get them both here this week, and that's why
I
there was
appreciate
that
them
notice.
coming.
Yeah.
But I've also asked for a posted agenda so that people would know if there's a posted agenda 3 or 4 days prior, oh, this is coming up 3 or 4 days at the next meeting. And I just looked at the board. I don't see any posted agendas. Was there one?
There is not a posted agenda.
And I asked this question, I think 2 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, why not? And Jeanette, you said, we'll start doing it.
No, I didn't say that. I said we could start doing it.
Is there an RSA that you should be posting your agendas before a meeting?
There is not.
Is it common sense that we post agendas before meetings?
That's subjective.
Is it common sense? I think for everyone to know what's going to be happening at a meeting, you have to tell people.
Most people come to the meetings regularly, so they know what's going to be discussed.
But you know what? I don't come regularly, but I come regularly enough that when there's something I want to hear about, I'll come. The only reason I knew this was happening was because I got an email today at 10 in the morning. So I believe the select board and the town administrator needs to deal with this. I brought it up 2 or 3 weeks ago when I was here last time. And I was given kind of the answer, yep, we'll be on it. Yep, that'll happen.
Actually, I believe the answer was, Tom said, yes, I agree with you. But there was no decision to do it. There was no motion to do it. There was no commitment to do it. It was just Tom agreeing with you.
Okay. Can one of you make the motion that we have posted agendas now in the future?
I'll make a motion that we have posted agendas in the future.
And I would say 4 days prior to the meeting.
The agenda isn't done 4 days prior to the meeting, Scott.
3
so
days,
That's not
3 days
possible.
prior to the meeting.
You're lucky if it's 3 days prior.
3 days prior to the meeting. Then get organized.
It's not me that's not organized. I don't determine what's on the agenda. That's supposed to come from the board.
Okay, when I ran a committee last year, you told me I had to post the agendas before the meeting. I always did it, and I always had meeting minutes 5 days later.
I told you
Every
you had
single
to do that.
meeting. That's, yep,
Scott, can you
I don't think
please
so.
the public comment, please?
that's if I stay this long. So there's a motion on the table.
You want to discuss it?
I think we should do our regular business and discuss it as new business as we go along. We've got a lot of other things to cover today.
Well,
Simple
it's not
vote.
very hard. It's an easy vote. All those in favor? Aye.
So then I'm going to ask that the select board send me all of the items they wish to be on the agenda by the Monday a week before the meeting. If you want it out 3 days before, that would be Tuesday. So I need everything on Monday. Please.
Are we talking about Tuesday? I was thinking about more like Friday, 3 days before. I mean, usually.
I don't know, are we talking business days, calendar days? We should be specific, I suppose. and I don't ever get any items to put on the agenda from the select board. So I just kind of wing it with what I know I have to talk about.
So I know when I was chair, I always worked with you on the agenda, and I
Yes.
saw that as one of the roles of the chair.
Well, thank you very much for coming in. I appreciate it.
Can I give us your information so I can get you that?
Mandy Deveno, 511 Simons Road. Again, I emailed in the agenda items for the select board members and would like to follow up. The first concern I would like to address is a potential change in trash company for the town of Dalton. I know we're kind of rehashing a few things, but I just want to, I'm sorry, there's a copy of what I'm reading tonight. I just want to reiterate that Casella's information was wonderful tonight. However, permits have not been approved, and there are legitimate concerns on here. October 22nd, NCES sent an email from Mary F. Dawn, Solid Waste Management Bureau, to John Gay to inform Casella of a third incomplete application. Again, this will delay approval. And then there also is a new time extension for the Granite State Landfill project relative to AOT permit application N231113-224. The new deadline for response to the June 24th, 2024 Department RFMI is now January 22nd of 2025. Casella requested this extension, and therefore the final permit application will be turned in at the earliest of January of 2025. So keep these things in mind as you discuss changing possible trash collection companies. The permitting process will take a long time. And then we also need to consider HB 1221 relative to including solid waste landfills in the definition of development of regional impact. Again, that was signed by the governor 7/19/24. So that may possibly delay application or permitting process as well. So just due to the uncertain timeline for permit application approval for the Dalton landfill and the possible regional impact, I feel it would be unwise to change from Mount Carberry landfill at this time. However, again, it was wonderful to hear Casella come in and explain what they could offer us. However, no permits have been fulfilled, and we need to keep in mind that even though the community host agreement offers us free waste disposal, and they have already said that they could manage that 1 to 2 years where Bethlehem would close before Dalton would open. Again, permits have not been approved. My second concern is in relation to Casella's community host agreements with talking to Mr. Skip Sansauci, which I believe Joe Bathy had brought up at a previous meeting. I did want to say I apologize for the attaching him to under canvas. I was unable to review previous meeting notes because they were not approved in a timely manner or posted, therefore made the error of associating him. So I would like to note that correction. He has experience in host community agreements, as Joe Bath had mentioned. It would be important to consider and lean into people who have legitimate and professional experience to ensure our best outcome for the town. And then I would like to confirm that the Board of Selectmen has done their due diligence and solicited information from the other 2 Casella landfills in the state in regard to their community host agreements. Now, I did notice, I believe in May, that Eric, you did reach out to Canterbury, correct? And got their host agreement?
Coventry.
Or Coventry, sorry, Coventry. Oh, what?
I went to Coventry, but not as a selectman.
But then why was it in the meeting
You
minutes?
said you were going as a selectman.
It was in meeting minutes
Yeah.
previous to this year that you had. So have you contacted Bethlehem about their host agreement?
No,
Why not?
because they came here.
When?
Bethlehem came here?
No,
Casella came
Bethlehem,
here.
the town,
Oh, the
for their
town?
host agreement.
No,
Okay, I'm new to the area, so I understand that there is some conflict between the town of Bethlehem and Casella. I would like to know what happened and where those missteps happened so that we can avoid those in our host agreement. So I think it's important that you also bring them in, okay? And you look at their host agreement. That would be doing due diligence as our board members, okay? And then lastly, I remind you that I filed a right to know request on October 17th, 2024 at 3:45 p.m. A formal receipt was issued on October 17th, 2024 at 4:05 p.m. by the town administrator. Joe Beth has complied with my request with the specified time frame as outlined in RSA 91-A:1-A. Tom and Eric have not responded. I once again remind the select board members of the availability in RS 91-A:4. Records must be available during business hours at the premises of the public body. If not immediately available, respond within 5 days. Provide the record, deny it in writing with reasons, or acknowledge it in a note of the time needed to respond. Neither of those things have been done by Eric and Tom. Also see RSA 91-A:1-a, any information created, accepted, or obtained by a quorum of public body or by a public agency, such as a clerk's office, town administrator, or police department, in any physical format received in or out of a meeting in furtherance of its official function. Failure to comply with my right to know request will place those board members in violation and in jeopardy of legal litigation. I requested those. It is my right to do so. You need to respond. You are past the 5-day business.
Yeah, you brought it up. That was number G. Right to know response.
You haven't written. It says written notice. You have not gotten back to me as to why.
I'll get back to you.
Okay. I'm just saying you're in violation currently of 91A.
All the information you want came here. I have nothing on my computer, nothing, no conversation. It's all came here. It's stuff that you want. It was brought in by Casella or even,
So you have had no conversations with Casella on the host agreements?
no, I have it right here. Right here.
You obviously have, because you've reached out to them to get it, which means you are in communication with them with the community host agreement.
With Coventry.
Well, that's part of it.
That's part of it, yes.
That's official business. That's business. That's communication.
I went
I
up
mean-
to Coventry because I heard it was a crap hole.
I would I would read those 91As again, guys. That's all I'm gonna say. It's very specific.
I mean, I responded that Casella came in January and July, and those were my communications with them.
If you want that, I'll write that down. Give me the dates, I'll write down. So you have, that's all
I
I
shouldn't
got.
have to give you the dates. You should have them.
I'll have to
You're
look
the
back,
select board
look
member.
back in a minute.
You should follow through that.
Maybe, boy, I tell you what.
And I don't believe that that's all the conversation you've had.
Well, you don't have to. I did not have. It was done right here. You guys can keep harassing, accuse it all you want.
Holding somebody responsible is
Ed,
not called
can we call point
harassment.
of order, please? I don't need this.
Any more comments?
Yeah, it just, one of the things that Mandy was talking about as far as the permits is that after the permits are granted to, for the Granite, I always forget, yeah, thank you, Granite State Landfill, that according to John Gay, it would be at a minimum another 3 years before that the GSL would be up and running. So, so you figure January and then a couple more months for DES and whoever, DEH, I don't know, to make their approvals, then it'll be 3 years from then. And, you know, we were talking about if they can guarantee us the same rate, that would be one thing. I don't know. I don't know what the contract says.
Your proposal has an increase of a minimum of 5% per year or more if the consumer price index for trash removal is, and disposal is higher than 5%. It could be more than 5%. So it definitely will go up at least 5%.
Right. And then if they have to bring the trash somewhere else, then it could go up more. And so I'm just saying that they said, that according to their own engineer, it would be 3 years after all the permits have been granted before they would be up and running. It would probably be more than 3 years.
And the deadlines for submission of additional material have been extended to January 22nd. That just starts the process of review by DES. And DES might still go back and ask for more information. So we have no
except for if it's not complete by February 28th, I think, then the application gets kicked out and they have to start all over again.
Right, but then that February 28th, if it's complete by then, that starts the review process. So we don't know how long that would take.
Yeah.
So Mount Carberry, the one in Success, has to go through permit processes and stuff to expand.
Can you speak up, please?
The Mount Carberry Success Landfill has to go through permits to expand to keep accepting trash. So they have to go through permit processes that might not pass either.
They just finished an expansion.
But they're established.
They might be submitting for another expansion, but they just finished an expansion. They opened an entire new area in Carberry.
Stage 13.
I don't know specifically. I'd have to look.
Because one of them failed the groundwater depth.
I would have to look.
My point is they have to go through permit processing and all that stuff too.
Right, but that's for expansion. That's not for building a whole new landfill that'll take 3 years.
Okay.
I understand what you're saying.
I have a comment. I just want to remind you all that townspeople, citizens have a responsibility and a duty to hold their legislative body responsible. And if there is a misunderstanding of RSAs and duties, it is incumbent on the people of your town and your constituents to call you forward, and so that you are aware, so that you can comply, so that the town is not liable. Because under these RSAs, the failure to respond can be pushed forward into the court system. And it opens up not just litigation, but also this idea that why isn't anyone responding to these things? And which leaves it open for interpretation. And I don't think that anyone wants that. I think if there is a misunderstanding or of how to read this RSA or how to comply with a right to know, then people need to lean into either reading it or asking an appropriate person, like our town administrator or whoever's above of that within the state, so that we're following proper procedure. But I think we need to stop with this idea that holding people responsible as harassment is just inflammatory, and it's not appropriate.
Thank you. Make motion to go into
Wait,
non-public.
I thought we were talking on that subject. I was waiting for public comment. Can I?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So last week I reviewed past minutes all the way to March, and I noticed that on over 50% of the time, Tom Dubreuil has abstained from signing the minutes and has given no explanation. As a matter of fact, tonight, Tom abstained from approving and signing 4 sets of past minutes. 4. And the reason why I looked into this is because, well, we need, as a town, we need accurate and complete minutes of the meetings so that we can understand how our town is being run. But without approved minutes and without open discussion of why you may agree or not agree with the minutes, then everything is, again, open to interpretation. And it leaves us, we're just really not sure what's happening. And it can create a bit of chaos because then people start assuming things. So I guess what I would ask is, can you, Tom, alleviate our concerns that taxpayers may have that are inaccuracies in our town minutes? Because if you're abstaining and we don't understand why you're abstaining, it makes us feel like there's something going wrong. And if there is something going wrong, then you should be bringing it up, not keeping it to yourself. So I'm just asking, can we count on you in the future to provide the transparency that both you and Eric actually claimed when you ran for office? And will you participate in discussion and actually vote on approving the yay or nay on future minutes?
Were you not there on the April meeting over there?
I was there.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember I read the RSA on the right to know on the phone?
Okay.
Okay. Was it put in the minutes? No, it was not. I brought it up to put it in. It was not. I have minutes that opinions are put in there, not exactly what's going on. So instead of, and when I bring it up, it's always an argument. I said, it's not worth arguing about. So and I have a right to abstain, and we don't even have to, never mind, I'm not even gonna go there, but anyways.
Okay, well.
It's all about that, and I'm not going to stick my neck out on something that I've got to take and argue about all the time.
Okay.
And it's funny that it's always one-sided, and I'm sorry.
All right, so I happen to be a resident of this town, as does everybody here. And one-sided or not, I think we all have different opinions on things, so I don't think it's one-sided. And but if you felt like it was such a big deal and so one-sided, or that we weren't listening, then it just seems to me that maybe if we actually officially recorded these meetings, which you guys voted against doing, then at least you would have evidence that you're not being listened to. And also, it is offensive to hear you say that I'm harassing you. You said
I did not say
you, and you did in a meeting, and it is recorded.
I don't care, whatever.
Exactly, you don't care that citizens of this town are asking you to be transparent. They're giving you very simple right to knows, and you don't answer them, and then you're saying you don't care. And then I just wonder, why are you a select board member?
You want to answer?
No, I'll think on it. I'll work on it.
Thank you.
Can we move on? I have a couple of things. I don't want to keep you guys here till midnight. I know you have non-pubs. I've asked this before. Has there been a meeting set up for you three selectmen to talk to legal? It seems like a lot of crap's going on, so why don't you all three just sit there and talk to legal? Make a list, go over the items, and you three selectmen talk to legal. Has that been done?
That's what our old legal suggested as well.
Yep. So why hasn't it?
So we had talked about having Jeanette set up a meeting to talk to legal about the letter to make sure that Casella would be responsible for paying cost. Have we heard back from them?
I'm talking a meeting where you guys, you three, are talking to legal at the same time, so nobody has a problem.
I'm having trouble hearing you.
Yeah, I know. I'm suggesting that you three meet with legal, so you have your questions answered, and nobody's accusing anybody of talking to someone out of turn. Don't you think that's a rational idea?
Well, we decided last meeting to do that.
Well, why
regarding
hasn't it
this
been
issue,
done?
Because legal has not responded.
Really? Has Jeanette actually asked them to set up a meeting to meet with you three select board members?
And the town administrator was how
You
the
three
motion
select board members.
Hmm?
You three select board members.
I'm going to push back on that because
I know.
as we
you
look
need
at
her
the
to
invoice,
prop you
Jeanette
up.
needs to be involved, and she's the one who'll be carrying through with things.
Okay.
She needs to have records
Let's get
for our
back to,
file.
has there been a date set up to meet with legal?
Did you send out a response?
I sent out a request.
You did.
No, a date has not been set because I haven't gotten a response.
Hey, I'm just asking.
Well, I'm
Thank you
just
so much.
responding. I mean, you're very passionate about the three of them meeting with legal for
Yeah,
some reason, so,
Because you're not a selectman.
and neither are you.
That's correct. I'm not asking to meet with legal.
You shouldn't be dictating what my job is though either.
Oh, yes.
I'll make a motion going to non-public.
No, I have one more thing. There is this draft of a non-pub I'm really confused about, Jeanette.
No problem, I
It's
can
the
explain.
one that relates to legal action against John Swan. It has a motion made to seal these minutes. If so, motion made by Joe Beth, seconded by Eric, because it would be determined that divulgence of information likely would, but then I don't see that it was followed through with motion passed or did not pass.
Can I see what you're looking at?
Sure thing.
How'd you get that?
Oh, this is floating around Swan's page.
That's because what you're talking about, the ceiling, there was no ceiling.
Well, did the motion pass?
No.
Then why isn't it written on there?
It's in the other meeting.
So, okay, in my error, I didn't remove Joe Beth when Eric in the motion made to seal these minutes, if so, motion made by. So I should have removed the name Joe Beth and removed the name Eric. This was one of those many meetings that
We should have caught that when we reviewed the minutes.
it should.
So I'd
This
like to
is
know
one of
how-
those many meetings in which it should have been discussed in public, not non-public, and it was not sealed. These are the meeting minutes that were not sealed. You only have one part here, but this was issued as a draft in response to John's right to know request. It was not sealed, which is why it was provided.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
I don't understand why did they go from here to John Swan? We
I'm
didn't
sorry?
really- How did they go from here to John Swan's Facebook? And we didn't even approve it as a board.
Did you read John Swan's right to know request?
Did you know about his right to know request?
Yes, because it was sent to them.
Just asking.
And according to the right to know, if minutes haven't been approved within 5 days, which is the time frame for responding to a right to know, then the draft or the draft notes have to be provided. And so if there was a non-public, if it was sealed, Jeanette would not have provided it. But
Because
it
I
was
would have
not
said,
sealed.
I cannot provide it because it's sealed. If it's not sealed, it is public. It gets posted with the meeting minutes. Anything non-sealed is posted with those meeting minutes.
And regular meetings too are posted in draft form, whether they're.
Pam,
No.
I'm sorry, but you did not receive the right to know request. I responded to the right to know request as I should, as the town administrator. So that's why it was issued.
General question.
That's why it was issued. I already said it was part of a right to know request. How many times do you want me to tell you?
General question, don't you post draft minutes of public meetings if not approved in time?
No, not
You
unless
don't.
someone asks for them. If someone asks for them, then I will post them as a draft. But they need to be asked for. We don't just post draft minutes.
Transparency.
You're one to talk about transparency. So, we don't just post draft meeting minutes. If someone requests draft meeting minutes, Pam, we provide them. You can request them based on the RSA that says that we have 5 days to post them, and then I'll give them to you. Or you can request them as a right to know, and then we have the 5 days in order to respond.
And
We haven't posted draft meeting minutes in over 2 years. Any other questions?
not at this time.
Anybody else? I'll make a motion to go into non-public for
One, two legal, I think they're both all legal. One's about an abatement, so that's legal.
non-public legal.
Yes, they're all non-public legal.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Will you be having a discussion after the non-public?
No.
Promise? We saw where.
We have to come back to seal minutes.
I know, but last time there was a discussion.
You second that, Joe Beth?
I did. I'm gonna take it real quick.